All right, so it starts off, hopefully, yeah, everyone can see this. Whether you're a Muslim, Christian, or Catholic, black, white, or brown, weak or strong, if any man lives true to these tenets, they ought to have a wonderful relationship with life and also be a good force and influencer to those around him. Okay, it sounds nice, also sounds like propaganda, but, whatever. Um, it's also very focused to men, which I guess makes sense because it's Andrew Tate, and I don't know. I kind of would have thought they would have said something about women in the beginning, like you'll get a lot of women and money. You know what I mean? You'll get a lot of money, you get a lot of women if you follow these, and that wasn't mentioned. So let's see. Number 1, I believe that men have the divine imperative to become as capable, powerful, and as competent as possible in this life. That's good to me. It actually is very similar to what Jordan Peterson has said, that a man is supposed to become as dangerous as he can, but then not use it. Be capable of it, but then not use it. And I think that makes sense. Like in martial arts, same thing. You're practicing a martial art to be capable, but the idea is generally is that you're not going to use it. You're learning how to be good at it and defend yourself, but you don't ever want to have to use it. Of course, unless you're doing like MMA or something that's like that. Number 2, I reserve the human right to hold my own beliefs and practice them as I see fit. And I allow all other people the same right to believe and act as they wish. That sounds like just very libertarian. It's just like a libertarian mindset. Like, you do you, I do me. Okay, I don't have an issue with that. I prefer loving, rewarding, consensual relationships with beautiful, positive, and virtuous women. Okay. Okay, yeah, I guess Andrew Tate does say those things, like in a different way. I think this is a very nice version of that, but he will say things like, if the woman sleeps around or she's an OnlyFans model, that's haram, or like, you shouldn't do that, you're like a slut, whatever. Okay, fine. So he does prefer that, and I guess that would be what people in that sphere prefer. Okay, fair enough. I just think you left off all the bullshit that you also say that's negative about women in that comment. Doesn't say anything about the flip side of how you're speaking about it. Number 4, I believe men and women are different and that each has their own unique and important strengths and abilities. Don't tell the feminists. I'm getting banned now. Okay, yeah. I mean, I've actually heard him say this in a pretty much almost verbatim. I think that's fair. I also believe that men and women are different, like we have different strengths, and that doesn't mean like a woman can't have the same strengths of a man, and vice versa, a man can have the same strengths as a woman, because sometimes it's like a spectrum, right? Like we all float in the spectrum. Just because you're a man doesn't mean you can't be good at, I don't know, being like a very caring, nurturing person. There's differences in genetics and and how people are. Like, we're not all the same, clearly. Just because we're a man or just because we're a woman. There's just a wide spectrum. All right, number 5. I believe men have the sacred duty to protect and provide for the important people in their lives. Okay, that's contrary to the current state of things, because right now it would be like feminism, not necessarily feminism, but like women empowerment, and women can provide just as much as men. It should be more like 50-50, something along that lines. It's not just a man thing. So this is kind of like an old style man thing, which I have heard him talk about. Don't totally agree with that. Like, I think I like doing that. I like providing and protecting those that are important in my life, but I do not think that precludes a woman from doing the same. So I guess I have a more nuanced position on this. 6, I believe men have the sacred duty to protect the innocent and the sanctity of their children, and reserve the right and responsibility to raise their children as they see best to ensure their long-term happiness and success. I think that's just like being a parent. That's just like what you would want for a parent. So, the only thing where I can see this gets you into trouble is if you're, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but like they're not your kids, and then you're like, hey, your kid shouldn't be going, I don't know, to a drag show, or shouldn't be going out late at night. I know I went extreme with the drag show thing, because that's like a hot topic, like right now. That's what was on top of my head. But I think you should do it with your kids. Kind of should let the parents do what the parents are gonna do. And if the parent, I know it sucks, like what if the parents were like totally stupid and incompetent, and then like do some wacky thing and let their kids like drink alcohol at 5 years old or something. I don't know. I'm just making something up because I don't want to get like super political here. Like obviously, like they're the parents, so they should be able to make that decision. I don't know. I guess where does it cross the line where it's like we got to step in, where they're abusive? Physically abusive, mentally abusive? I don't know. That's actually like abusive to their health. Okay, this is... Sorry, I went too deep now. I'm questioning everything. Because if you knew your neighbor was giving his kids, his or her kids, whatever, the parents were giving the kids alcohol, and they're like young, like under 10, and you know that alcohol messes up your brain development, like, do you just be like, well, crap, I guess that's it, and you just like don't say anything, you don't do anything, or knowing that kid's gonna end up with like, I don't know if you can get fetal alcohol syndrome when you're a kid or you're born with that, but like, like some version of you get messed up. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked. I believe that, number 7, I believe that men have the sacred duty to raise strong, capable, and honorable sons. Sure, I don't disagree with that. I think as a father, you should raise kids, not just sons, but like raise well, it's 0.8, actually, his daughters. Anyways, you should raise strong men. And so this is fitting into a stereotype of boys, so that's why it's strong, capable, honorable, right? Because it's a boy, so it's a very gendered stereotype. Okay, fair enough. I mean, most boys will fit into that category, but I think you need to raise your kid for what fits best for them, right? So you got to understand what your kid's like, what drives them, what their personality is, what their innate leanings are, and do your best to raise them in that way. Because if I have like a gay son who's gonna be like, I don't know, a little more effeminate, I don't want to raise him in the same way I would raise a kid who's like super masculine, typical boy, and like wants to go and like catch frogs and like work on cars or build things. Okay, number 8. I believe that men have the sacred duty to raise kind, feminine, and virtuous daughters. Okay, I would say fair enough. But again, same point as the one above. You should base it off of what your daughter's like. If your daughter is more of a tomboy or whatever, then maybe the feminine one isn't so applicable. But I mean, kind and virtuous sounds good to me. You don't want, I would say as a father, I wouldn't want my daughter just like sleeping around. I want her to understand the power that she has to make life, and that if she is going to sleep around, she better be using protection, but it's probably better not to, just because of the toll it takes on you the more you do that. And I would take that from, I'm not a woman, but even from a guy's perspective, sleeping around did not do me any good in my 20s, and I regret like 90% of it. So I'm not even speaking just from a woman's side. I'm saying from from a man's side, I would teach my sons not to do that. Number 9, I utterly disapprove of violence within romantic and familial relationships. Yeah, okay. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, you should. 10, I support good and honest governments and I will obey only their laws. Well, okay, that's a weird one because what do you consider a good and honest government? Like, do you just get to decide what's a good and honest government? Because he also seems to like Saudi Arabia and Qatar or whatever. Or I don't know if he likes Qatar, but he definitely likes Saudi and the Emirates, the UAE. So I'm like, I don't know. Haven't they done some shady things? I guess all governments have done shady things. So that one's weird. Phrased weird. It should just be, I will obey the laws of like the government or the country I'm in. Shouldn't be like good or honest, and I will obey only their law. Like, I don't know. Me, it's worded weird. I prefer to only conduct business dealings with trusted and vetted brothers. What the hell does that mean? So I can only do business with two brothers, or if you're like a single person, I don't know what that means. Or maybe brothers just like other people who are Andrew Tate followers or Tateism followers or something. Maybe that's what it refers to. Just giving it that religious vibe. Like I'm just picturing a bunch of them sitting in like a monastery. But it looks like a monastery on the outside, but on the inside, it's like stripper poles and like rave parties and drugs and alcohol and women. I don't know. It's like an orgy going on inside, and like a rave party. 12. I believe that a man has the sacred duty to hold true to his word and do exactly what he says he will do. Okay, that's a very good one. I would say not just a man. Obviously, I know this is very man-focused, but I would say both genders. And if you say you're going to do something, you should do it. And I live my life that way. Like I absolutely hate people who do not do this. They promise to do something, and then they do something, like they don't do it. Honestly, I find a lot of women flake. I don't know, that's just been my experience. But a lot of women are like, well, I don't feel like doing it, and they don't do it. But like, I'm just not like that. Like if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. 13. I believe that a man's life is difficult, and he has the sacred duty to become strong to handle such difficulty. Again, I would just change this to, I believe that life is difficult, and everybody needs to become strong to handle it. And strong, is maybe not the right word here, but you need like to figure out a way how to deal with it. So whether that's partnering up and getting into a relationship and you work together to accomplish it, or you do something on your own, right, to manage and get through the world. But you definitely, I'll use strong. You definitely have to become strong to get through life. Otherwise, or to get anywhere in life, because if you're not, you're just going to sit at the bottom and nothing's going to happen. Like, you're going to be working a job making $30K a year or on welfare or something. So, yeah, become strong. Okay. Don't totally disagree with that. I believe men are personally responsible for their actions and for the results they achieve in their lives. Everybody is. I would say everybody is responsible for that. I don't believe that you should be putting the blame on others. You always should be looking to yourself and being like, hey, what can I do to improve this? I'm the one who did this. I think that's good. I believe in emotional control and the vital need to become disciplined and professional in all things. The emotional control. Yeah. I think in general you want to control your emotions, but there are points where you don't, where it's helpful. Like obviously the classic one is like in a fight, or maybe when you're like really in love and you want to have, you're going to be like very passionate with your partner, you should let your emotions out. It's okay to let your emotions out too. Like if you're watching a show or a movie and, your favorite character died or something, really emotional is happening, I think that's fine. But in general, yes, you want to control your emotions. And I think discipline is good and being professional is good. So, yeah. I believe that men have the sacred duty to approach everything in life from a position of strength. Well, okay. I don't know. It's weird because we say sacred duty, but I think the best way to live your life is to approach things from a position of strength. In general, that is the best way to live your life. And I don't think that's a man or a woman thing, or sorry, just a man thing. I think it's both genders. You should approach life from a position of strength. You don't want to be the weak one there, because the weak one gets the raw end of the stick. You want to be at least even, if not stronger or on top or whatever. But I guess somebody always has to be on the bottom, don't they? Not necessarily. I guess not necessarily. You could be even, where you're both, it's like kind of like 50-50. That's probably the most ideal, because then if you're being stronger, somebody's being weaker, and then you're kind of taking advantage of them. I don't know. That's kind of a weird one, but generally, yes, you want to approach things from a advantage position, if you can. 17. I believe that all men have the sacred duty to become men of upright and virtuous character and live above all possible reproach. Again, this sacred duty talk, like what are we trying to do? Like copy some biblical text here? Sacred duty. Okay. Yes, you should be upright and virtuous. Yeah, because if you think if all people, I know what this is talking about men, but if all people were upright and virtuous, we probably wouldn't have all the war and the torment and the crap we have going on in society, where people like break into your house and steal your stuff, and so I think that's a good thing to strive for. Very idyllic. Don't know if it's not going to be possible, but hey, we can strive for it. 18. I believe it is incumbent upon me to ruthlessly identify my own weaknesses and limitations, and I eagerly work to overcome them and become more capable in all realms. That's a very positive message. Yeah, of course. You should do that. I try to do that all day. All day. All the time. Whatever. Like a big thing for me was getting it back into shape. I've now lost 50 pounds in 1 year. So very positive. I sorted out my career stuff, making career advancements. I'm making more money, climbing the corporate ladder. I'm, focusing on my emotional and mental health and like learning how to be a better person. So I think these are all great. That's a great thing to strive for. You want to identify those weaknesses, limitations, and break them down. Cool. 19. I seek to improve my personal freedom to think, act, and live true to my masculine imperative in all ways. My masculine imperative. Does he mean the above items? Is he saying that's his imperative? All these sacred duties? And that's what they need to do? And so they need to be able to do that? Okay. I don't know. I feel like a lot of things in these lists I didn't find so far anyways. I haven't found crazy or harmful. I think overall they're very positive and good things, right? At least from a man's side, right? In general. But I know like the flip side of what he says, so I don't know if I agree with the statement, knowing the way that he was conducting himself. So I don't know if I agree with the think that can live true to my masculine imperative, knowing actually how when it's put into practice, it's not all nice and kind of cut and clean like this. But if it was cut and clean, yeah, okay. I mean, don't have a big issue with that. 20. I believe each man has a sacred duty to mold his physical body into the strongest, most resilient, and most capable version of itself possible. Yeah, that's a great thing. Again, stop using sacred duty. This sounds so stupid. But yes, you should be getting fit. And I agree. At one point, I would bend over to tie my shoes because I was 315 pounds almost, or 314 pounds. I would bend over to tie my shoes and I would like have trouble breathing. It was ridiculous. Now that I'm 265, right? So after a year, basically a year of working out, really somewhere like 8-9 months where I was like more serious about it, but whatever. I don't have that issue. And I'm running and jumping around and I don't get out of breath as much, etc., etc. So yes, you should do that. It is not good to be overweight. And I will continue to work on that until I'm like 200, 190, something along that lines that fits in my, a good range for me. So it's very positive. I agree. I believe that men have the sacred duty to rigorously train themselves both physically and mentally every day. Sure, I think everybody should do that. Again. 22. I believe that I have the sacred duty to only eat the highest quality foods possible to maintain my health, vitality, and masculine virility. Okay, everybody should do that. I mean, that was a big thing for me, is just I cook like I'm a great cook. I look up stuff, I cook all my own stuff, I barely eat out at all. I just buy like whatever it is, steaks, roasts, like whole just big slabs of meat and lots of vegetables and a lot of fruit and stuff, and I just make healthy food that tastes good, and it's just like way better than eating out. I don't even want to eat out anymore. I literally don't want to eat out anymore, except for like Indian food, because I'm not making like curry and things like that. But I have no need. And get a Traeger if you like meat. If you like meat and you want good moist, like it's just oh my god, a Traeger barbecue or like the smoker thing, it is so damn easy to make good food on it. Oh my god. And you just set it and then like you leave and you just come back, like do some stuff, sauce your meat or whatever, and like leave it for another half an hour, come back, and it's right. Like, it's ridiculous. Sorry, sidetrack. Okay, 23. I reserve the right to protect the sanctity of my bloodstream and make my own decisions about my medical care and procedures. I feel like this is there because of COVID. And on the face of it, yes, I agree. But I also am like, I think with certain things, it's like viruses, and there's this, like the social contract that you're going to go out there. You don't want to be like infecting other people. So I don't know, like with vaccines, you get a vaccine, so you're not as infectious or at all infectious, etc. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's kind of I know what he's saying, and I think with a lot of places it makes sense. I think everybody should be able to take care of their medical care and procedures, right? Like in what they do. But I think there's maybe some exceptions. 24. I affirm the importance of endlessly improving my mental facilities through diligent work, study, and practice. Yeah, that's really good. You should always be learning. I was just listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson actually, and he was talking about how people after they leave school, like high school or, well, usually like let's say high school or even university, they always think like, oh, I'm not gonna have to learn anymore. That's like the whole thing. They're like, oh, I'm done. Oh, I'm free. But it's really like, if anything, life is just about learning, and you should always want to learn. Like it's so valuable, whether you're just reading books, right? You're reading some book on how to like invest in the stock market. Like the amount of things that average people don't know that would be so beneficial to them, or even like on your mental health, or like you have like a sleeping disorder, like me, right? So you just learn about how to deal with that. Like just like it could be something very specific to you. It's just very anyways, just very important to keep learning. 25. I believe in acquiring wealth and abundance in order to improve my life and do good for those I care about. Okay, that sounds great. I think everybody should strive for that. I know ultimately, though, I don't think everybody can be wealthy, because there's only so much money, and like if you're making money, somebody else is losing money, isn't it? Like, I don't know. Maybe this is where I'm kind of lacking in my knowledge. Maybe I need to do number 24 and study more on it. But okay, 26. I believe in the merits of healthy competition and constantly encourage all men to seek out competition to improve themselves. Yes. Again, for everybody, not just men. I know the classic one to me is just like doing like a workout challenge with your friends. So, what the Apple Watch is? Anyways, there's some app on there you can get where you can like set up like a competition with your friends. Like you can all see how much activity you've done. And so you can basically like set up your own competitions to be like, play it off your friends. I guess it's not just Apple Watch, like there's a lot of things like that. I just think of that one at the top of my head. But yeah, in general, competition is good, like healthy competition. And I think it only makes you better. Everybody involved, right? Makes them strive for greater things. 27. I believe that masculine brotherhood. I believe that masculine brotherhood is essential to men's health, happiness, and success. And I relentlessly encourage men to meet together, train together, and work together. So this is where this whole thing is like men should kind of keep the men, men should have men friends, and then they should like kind of like talk to each other about their problems instead of going to a woman. I'm guessing that's where that's coming from. Yeah, I think it's good to do that, and vice versa with women. Although I have to say, I am seeing somebody now, and a lady, and her encouragement for me is just like amazing. Like, it's literally amazing. Sometimes it brings tears to my eyes, I swear. I feel very fortunate to have met her. I don't know. She's very unique that way. I think a lot of people don't encourage their partners enough, perhaps. But she's amazing, and she's very encouraging and supportive. And I think so. I don't think it's just a man thing. I think your partner, or even maybe if you have female friends, right, or male friends, if you're a female, they can also be encouraging as well and supportive. So, 28. I maintain the trust of my brothers through reverent silence regarding our most sacred shared experience. So he's basically saying you're not going to like say anything about what you guys do together. So like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Okay. I don't know. It sounds too sounds too like clicky, but I don't know. I guess like people do this in their families, right? Like in your family, you had a fight with your spouse. You're not going to be like go blabbing it to all your friends and be like, "Hey, we had this fight." I mean, some people do that. It's probably not a good idea. It's probably better just to like, if you're going to talk about it, maybe don't frame it as like a fight. Just like, what do you think about this? You can ask them, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And ask them maybe what the thing you were discussing was. But it's not good to like shit on your partner. Anyways. 29. I believe in honoring my ancestors and living in a way that would make them most proud of me today. That's weird. It's not, well, sorry, it's not weird. It's weird because I used to think that. Like, I grew up Catholic, and when I was a teenager, like you have sexual experiences by yourself. When you're learning about your body. And I remember like after those experiences, I would be like, oh my God, I bet my grandma is like watching me from heaven right now. And she's like, what have you done? She'd be so disappointed in you. I guilted myself. Oh my God, I didn't need that. My mom was already guilting me enough. Jeez. Okay. Yeah, but I guess like you want to... This is very age-old stuff. You don't want to dishonor the family. Okay, I don't know. I know what it's saying. Kind of agree. Yeah, I kind of agree with it, but sometimes what your family might say is the right thing to do, like, or what they consider the honorable thing, isn't always the right thing. Like... Literally, you had Japan in World War II fighting with their emperor, and the honorable thing was to side with the emperor. And I'm sure there were some of those Japanese soldiers who were like, maybe I should, surrender, or this isn't right. Like, I don't want to fight in this or whatever. And they were making conscious decisions not to do that, even though their family was, you must go and kill the American scum and whoever, right? And the British. Okay, 30. I reserve the right to administer difficult rites of passage for our young men to allow them to earn the rank of manhood. What? What the hell does that even mean? It sounds like some hazing ritual. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not on board with this. Like, yes, when a woman is becoming a woman, there's sort of a period you go through. You want to call it a rite of passage, I guess, but it's not like you're administering it on them. They're just experiencing life, man or woman, right? And like becoming an adult and like learning and getting well, to manhood or womanhood. So I don't, that's a weird one. 31. I affirm the importance and the need for travel and adventure as men. Need for travel and adventure. Okay. I think travel is important. Like, I think it's good to travel outside of your country and see how other places, other people live and experience different cultures and things. I think that's like very good because it broadens like your view of the world. And I would say in this case, I would say men are probably more driven to adventures. So yeah, okay. I'm kind of like vibing with this one more, but I think everybody should travel. This isn't just like a man thing. Like everybody should travel and have some sort of adventures and like learn and grow as a person. 32. I seek to help men overcome poor mental health through embracing hard work, physical improvements, and shared masculine brotherhood. Yes and no. Yes, you should always help or seek to help people overcome mental health, etc., like their issues, by hard work, like working on them or improving themselves physically, eating healthier, going to therapy or whatever, right? Like these positive things, like being very positive to help them. Yeah, everybody should do that. But the whole shared masculine brotherhood thing, I'm like, okay, this is a man-focused article, fine, I'll let it slip, but it's not specific to men in my book. 33, I reserve the right to make the best choices I can at the time to protect my self-respect and mental health. Yeah, you should be able to make your own choice. If you feel like it's not the right thing for you to do and it's going to harm you, then you should do that. Like, okay, yeah, of course, no one should be like forcing you to do something you don't want to do. Hopefully, right? That's the idea. Okay, 34. I do good in the world and seek to help those less fortunate than myself. Everybody should do that. 35. I believe all men have the responsibility to lead and guide those they care for to greater health, prosperity, and happiness. Okay, I would just say that everybody in the world, you should go to your friends, your family, and you should be like, hey, dad or mom, whatever, brother, sister, I notice, you seem to be whatever, like you're not sleeping, you're really stressed out, you're losing your hair, I don't know. Maybe you could try something else. Would you like some help with that? You don't seem to be very happy. You're always in a bad mood now or something, blah, blah, blah. I think that's super positive. 36. I choose to only interact with those who are respectful and civil in return for my own respect and civility. Okay. I mean, on the face of it, yes, but I know this doesn't work. Because if everybody did that, so as soon as you disagree with somebody, like you see this in the internet all the time, people will shit on you and they'll say all sorts of mean things, and it's clearly disrespectful, like they're just being a-holes, right? So what do? Do you just be an a-hole back, or you just don't say anything? But maybe you could engage with them and make them, show them love or something back, and they would become a better person. Or probably not. The way the internet is, probably not. But there's a chance. I don't know. Maybe, okay, it's a judgment call. It's a judgment call. You got to do it on a case-by-case basis. 37. I reserve the freedom to speak and refer to others as I believe is best and most truthful. Okay, yeah, kind of, in practice we don't do this though. I'm just thinking of the transgender thing. That's why I just feel like that's why it's there, because you're going to sit there and be like, well, you're a biological male, so I'm going to call you Bob, which is your biological male name. And I'm going to, and he, instead of calling you she, and your new name Lily, because you're actually really a male and you just transitioned. Like, there are people who do that, so I don't know. This one's... And then plus even, and that's an extreme one. You could just think of like your relationship, and fair enough. In a relationship, you should honestly be literally as honest as possible. But if you are not, because maybe she says something, I'm using she in this case, whatever, right? She says something and you're just like, yes, you look good. You look good in those pants. And it's not a truthful thing. I guess you shouldn't really do that. You know what? You shouldn't really do that. You should find a partner who you can actually be honest with and say things when you disagree, and then they don't go crazy on you, I guess, or get upset because they know you love them. Or they might be upset in the quick, few minutes there or an hour, but then afterwards they're like, you know what? Thank you for being honest. Okay. So I'm going to switch on this. I'm going to say, in general, yes, you want to be truthful. But it's, yeah, you got to be respectful too. I don't know. 38. I reserve the right to choose my company and include only those whom I believe are best for my health, happiness, and success. Yeah, I think that's like what my therapist told me, actually. It's something along that lines, was if somebody is very harmful in your life, you should cut them out because they're only bringing negative things to you. Like, you can try to address it with them, but like, hey, I don't like when you do these things. And if they're just still doing it and still wrecking your life, then yeah, sometimes you got to make the hard decision. And sometimes it's a family member or, someone who you're very close with, and it's a tough decision to cut them. But sometimes you got to do it. And maybe you can come back later and they've changed or something a bit and you can have that relationship, but I think that's fair enough. 39. I believe I have an imperative to only spend my time in the way that I determine is beneficial, uplifting, and empowering to myself and others. Okay. I think that's fine. I don't know. Nothing wrong with that. You should do beneficial things. I think, opposed to doing things that are detrimental to yourself. 40. I choose to only allow myself to be influenced by those who I believe have my best interests in mind. Yeah, because there are a lot of people who want to mess with you. So this is a good point. A lot of people who want to mess with you, a lot of people who are just like, they want your money, they want your time, they want something from you. They don't give a crap about you. They just want something. So fair enough. Fair enough. 41. Each day I dedicate myself anew to create the greatest possible positive impact in the world, and do the work necessary to achieve a greater masculine excellence across all realms of human endeavor. I mean, that's a great statement. It is such a great statement, but yet, he doesn't do that. Or he's just being, I don't know. Is he just being sarcastic, like when he tweeted with the Greta Thunberg or Thunberg, however you say her name, and with the pizza box thing, and it was like, I'm not recycling these pizza boxes, and he's, I don't know, like he's just being like ridiculous and silly for silliness sake. Who knows what he actually does off camera? Probably like a different person. Just probably playing some character. Okay, overall, didn't really have an issue with these things, other than the fact that it was just focused towards men. The 41 Tenets of Tateism overall, I thought were good. But the problem is, the only problem I had was like some of them you could see like the flip side, where Andrew Tate himself has made it has been like mean and like bombastic and like it's kind of like twisted it almost. So just like any book or doctrine or whatever, right? The people who implement the things are always doing different things than what is written. Trust in Tate. Okay, there. Let's see these comments. How in the F is this not linked or liked or commented on more? Tate is a effing legend. Perfect rules to live for men to live by. I'm a juicy woman and I love Tate. What's a juicy woman? Is that fat? Is that what juicy is? I don't know. We are young. We need your word for your people. We are depressed a lot. Okay. Oh, so they're like crying. They want him. You're crying for Tate. You forgot to mention don't spam links. Okay. Has a rule, I guess. I see how sad and just destroyed mentally men are on this very app, but the ones that are soaking the game up are making positive changes. Yeah, there are a lot of men struggling. There are a lot of women struggling in different ways. But yeah, it's true. There'll always be people struggling. So if you follow some of these rules where you're like the ones where it says like you lift people up, like 32, although it talked about masculine brotherhood, but if you help people through mental health issues, yeah. Okay, cool. This is like super long video. The 41 tenets of Tateism. I guess I learned something. I mean, on the face of it, if this what it was, don't really have an issue with it. It's just not how it's being implemented in practice. So, what do you got to say? Let me know what you think below. If there's anything that you thought, you know, different thoughts and things that you had on this, let me know. I'll put the link to this in the description. Okay. See y'all later. Bye.